Explain like I'm 5. How is C still the fastest mainstream language? I've heard that lots of languages come close. But how has a faster language not been created for over 50 years? Excluding assembly. C code is really close to what the CPU is doing. Plus there are no validity checks on what you are doing. Use a string as a memory pointer? No problem. Have a function return a pointer to another function but use it as an integer? No problem. A long time ago I explained to a friend that C doesn't just let you shoot yourself in the foot. It loads the gun, loosens the trigger, cocks the gun, puts it in your hand pointed at your foot, then shouts bang. C is a fairly unsafe language. If I allocate 20 bytes of memory and then write to the 21st byte, C will let me do that, no questions asked, and my program may or may not crash. Do you feel lucky? Most languages have traded raw speed for varying degrees of safety to allow programmers a better chance of writing correct bug-free code. The safety and the abstractions cost a little bit of speed. Further, some languages have even more constraints, such as the ability to run a program on any hardware. Java and some others. This is more costly still. C was designed to be efficient by providing direct access to memory via address pointers. It also has the benefit of having a large coding base and decades of support that have allowed the developers to improve the efficiency by making use of individual target machines' assembly language. Enhanced instructions. On the downside, C accomplishes its speed by not automatically adding typical bounds checking arithmetic overflows, array overruns, pointer validity that are often built into other languages. Because 99.99% of the time you don't care about how fast something is, which can be improved by a programming language change. It'll be fast enough most of the time, and you save so much time using a modern programming language. Compared to C, sure, there's times where things need to be fast, and that's when you use C. A big advantage is that the compilers are ridiculously mature. If there's an automatic optimization that can be done, the compiler can probably do it. That does a lot to make the language faster. What's assembly? This is ELI5. Others have the majority of the answer covered. And there's one additional angle that I think is important to highlight. C isn't inherently fast. It just has language features that make it well suited for writing computationally efficient code, and essentially enable you to trade development efficiency for execution efficiency. It's not very hard to create examples of well-written code in other languages that is faster at a particular task than average or poorly written C code, especially if the other language is one that was designed specifically for working on that kind of task. C isn't necessarily the fastest anymore. There's a bit of contention for that title right now with the much younger Rust language as to why C is so fast compared to most others. When a program is written in C, there's a bunch of computation that's handled up front, once referred to as compilation, translation of human-readable code to computer-readable binary. Not all languages follow this, and it's one of the major differences between slow language and fast ones. And the compiler program that does the translating for C is very smart and looks for ways to optimize your code while it's compiling. Not all languages are at the same layer, so performances vary. Raw binary, assembler, C, other compiled languages, interpreted languages, Python, low-level efficiency, but slow to write, high-level less efficient, but quicker to write. And remember that time is money. Because it's very close to the metal, it has a handful of instructions, doesn't do anything complicated, and relies on you for memory management. You're very close to machine language. It's just a thin abstraction layer away. This allows for all sorts of fun manipulation. and for the kinds of bugs that can be a bastard to find. But it produces code that runs fast. It's like Latin. Learning Latin will make learning a lot of languages easier. But no one really knows the dark magic anymore. Of course, dark magic always gets the job done with a cost. Side note: Dennis Ritchie died the same month as Steve Jobs. Guy created C. Co-created Unix. Most people have no idea who he is. But he directly contributed a whole lot more to computing. This question will lots of subjective answers. And I would add mine too. Basically, there is a change in prioritization because hardware has become cheap. Programmers are expensive. Bugs costs the most money. X200B. Nonetheless, there are languages that claim to be as fast as C, i.e. Rust and Zig. R. Lost Redditors R. Ask Computer Science. This topic goes far beyond the scope of R. Explain like I'm 5. You should go ask elsewhere. But it basically boils down to how close the language is to the hardware it's running on, and the only thing closer than C would be writing directly in assembly language. But is your C faster than other mainstream languages? How is this ELI5? I consider myself somewhat special, having taught myself BASIC at 7 years old. But you can't explain execution speed reality between multiple languages until you're a very qualified programmer. Because the focus has changed from writing efficient code to cheap code. C is having lunch on a skyscraper beam. Many modern languages are having lunch sitting in an architect's office. It's now usually cheaper to write inefficient code and pay less qualified people to sit in the office. But if you want speed in a specific instance, you need those people on that beam. Faster is kind of a false concept. C grew up when computers ran at kilohertz clocks, so more care was given. Keep in mind that compilers are updated as well to optimize for modern hardware. ACAP can be faster if it's optimized better than ACAP. When C was new, CPUs were very different. Is C really the fastest? It only has a primitive type system, and this can be difficult to optimize, although compilers are advanced enough to try. In practice, I'd expect well-written C to be faster simply because the compiler has more info to work with. Fortran actually beats out C in many cases. But it is forgotten by many non-scientists for some reason. Although I've pumped out more C in C, I think on C, I malloc, I dalloc, and I feel safe in using blocks. It's not appreciably faster than C or Rust. You'll save a few bytes or a few clock cycles running the same code in C. But it will come at the cost of type safety, memory safety, and a lack of useful standard utilities. Roll your own data structures and algorithms is a massive waste of time for most application domains, yet it's the default way you construct programs in C. C was designed to be as close to a global assembly language as possible without being machine specific the way assembly is by definition. Once you've done that, you could do it again with a new language. And I bet it's been tried. But it's hard to get people to make an effort to switch over without huge benefits. And it's not an area of programming that gets a ton of attention nowadays anyway. Dude, the Pebble Watch Company had a JavaScript to C translator that was out of this world. All the compactness of C with all the familiarity of JavaScript. It was awesome. Another way to think about it, languages mostly get faster by taking things away. C started out stripped down. Most other languages seek to have more features than C, usually for good reason. This makes it rare, if not impossible, for languages to be outright faster than C. The high watermark is instead to be almost as fast as C is, while also being safer, more pleasant, and with better features.